This conference will now be recorded.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair and members, we have reached quorum.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the WAMPO meeting for Tuesday, August 10th. And we do have a quorum at this time. So I want to welcome everyone that's here in attendance and those that are joining us online. We'll start with approval of the agenda for August 10th. I move that we approve the August 10th agenda. We have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next is everyone's had an opportunity to review the minutes from July 13th. I move that we approve the minutes for July 13th. Do I have a second? We have a motion and a second. Looks like the mayors are all seconding things today, so thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We'll go to the chairman's report with the director. I'll turn it over to Chad. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Board members, good afternoon. And just to provide an overview, as your secretary, I'd like to share generally what all actions take place and activities that take place in our WAMPO TPB meetings. They are usually under three categories. One is long-range transportation plan, and one short-range transportation plan, the TIP Transportation Improvement Program, and the third, the administration of the WAMPO operations, that is UPWP, Unified Planning Work Program. Most of you already know, but since new members join WAMPO TPB, as a secretary, I just want to keep you this overview of how our action items and activities that occur fall into these three categories most of the time. As an example, today we have Haysville and City of Park City presentations on the vision and the regional connections. And that presentation falls under long-range transportation plan. Staff would prepare a report at the end of this year, capturing all the presentations that occurred all this year. And second example is the short-range transportation plan, the HIP funds, the Highway Infrastructure Program funds that Nick will be presenting today under the director's report. That falls under short-range transportation plan, the TIP development. The third example is today we have audit contract in action item B that would fall under Unified Planning Work Program, UPWP. So just to give a perspective of how most of the actions and activities that we conduct during our meetings fall into these three categories. With that, I would like to request Nick to present Highway Improvement Program funds. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. At the last meeting of this body, you heard about a call for projects for Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act funds and for year-end balance funds that we had sent out. And now we have also sent out a call for projects for Highway Infrastructure Program funds distributed in the years 2020 and 2021. In 2020, $683,064 was made available for WAMPO. That has to be obligated by the end of fiscal year 23. And in 2021, $556,717 was made available. That has to be obligated by the end of fiscal year 2024 for a total of $1,239,781 for this call for projects, which will be considered by the Project Selection Committee at the same time as the CRR, SAA, and year-end balance funds that were discussed previously. A few highlights on these HIP funds. Just like the CRISA funds, they are available immediately for obligation. And noteworthy, the funds distributed for the HIP program are changed via projects that qualify change from one year to the next. For the funds distributed in 2021, the potential projects are the same as for surface transportation block grants, but only a subset of those projects qualify for 2020, and those project types were spelled out in the call for projects email corresponding to particular sections of the U.S. Code that you see here, and are primarily focused on roadway, tunnel, bridge, and railway safety crossing projects mostly. But most other requirements are the same as for surface transportation block grants for both of these two funding pools, and including that the non-federal match requirements are the same, i.e. 80-20 for most things. And there are no year-specific obligation limitations for these, so the funds can be spent any time between now and the end of 2023 or 2024 fiscal years, as the case may be. As with other funding sources, the projects have to be in the WAMPO TIP and the KDOT STEP before they can be implemented, and they have to be consistent with the MTP. They cannot cover costs that were incurred prior to the funds being authorized, and they cannot. Yes. Oh, did you have a question? Oh, okay. and they cannot be used as the non-federal match for other funding sources. And according to KDOT, transfers to the Federal Transit Administration are unlikely to qualify. And in this call for projects, as with the other funds, we're accepting applications both for projects that are already in the TIP, but whose expected final costs are anticipated to be more than what their current federal funding and their local matches would cover, or projects that are in the MTP, but just barely did not qualify to get into the TIP and might be able to use these funds to be added to the TIP. We sent out the call for projects on July 22nd and it set a deadline of August 31st for submitting applications to WAMPO. And we have already heard from a few jurisdictions asking for HIP funds, and in each case they're asking for HIP funds as an alternative or in addition to, as the case may be, depending on what is ultimately decided as CRISA funds. And the project selection committee will meet around the end of the current fiscal year. The exact date has not been set yet, I believe. Is that right, Chad? Yeah. Yes, the exact date of that meeting has not yet been decided, and they will decide on the year-end balance funds for SDP, CMAQ, and transportation alternatives, and CRISA funds, and these two pools of HIP funds. And they may, and depending on what is decided by the project selection committee and eventually approved by this body, that the funds may be shifted around to make things work. That'll be decided at a later time. And then hopefully any resultant TIP amendments coming out of this will be able to be approved at the December meeting 2021, following the public comment period and all the other steps that need to be taken between now and then. Any questions?
Thank you, Nick. I think, as Nick mentioned, the staff would work with project selection committee to determine a time and a schedule that's convenient with our partners, like KDOT partners, provide a valuable input in this rules of the funding, and as well as our Federal Highway Administration partners as well, Matt McDonald and our KDOT partners. So with that, that's the schedule upcoming. How the project selection committee reviews the projects compiled by staff from member jurisdictions. So at the moment, we are compiling the potential projects for these available funds. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And next item on the director's report is bike pit count. And Catherine, please.
Thank you. WAMPO's annual pedestrian and bike count is coming up this September 23rd, 5 to 7 p.m. and September 25th from noon to 2. So we will need volunteers to help us collect data that accurately represents our bicycle and pedestrian activities so we can plan for future system improvements. We are accepting volunteers for our 36 locations until August 31st. So if you or anyone you know is interested, my information is on page 6 of your packet, or you can go straight to the wampo.org website to volunteer as well. And we will also be having a bike ped networking event next Friday, August 20th at 3 p.m. in the same room for current and potential volunteers to learn more about the counts and how they are utilized. And that information should be on the wampo.org website as well. But again, my contact information is on page 6. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you.
That's all, Mr. Chair, on director's report. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chad. Thank you for everyone for that briefing. Also, if you look on your next to your last page of our agenda today, you'll see that we are completely full now with all of our membership on this committee. So I want to welcome Mayor Hunter Larkin to the committee today. And he was, I think, the last one that I needed to make sure was added so that we'd have all of our positions filled. So I thank everyone for doing that. Next item on our agenda is public comments. Do I have anyone from the public that would like to speak today, either online or in person? It does not appear that we have anyone. Have I missed anyone online? Does not appear that we have. So the next item is new business. So the first item, Nick is going to be back on to talk about our tip. Amendment 4.
Thank you. I'm here today to talk about Amendment 4 to the 2021 to 2024 TIP that has gone through the public comment period and review by the Technical Advisory Committee and is now being presented to the TPB. The full contents of this amendment can be found at wampo.org/transportation-improvement-program at near the bottom with a link through a link near the bottom of the page, and this is the front page of that report shown here. It's a relatively small amendment this time. Only 2 projects that require formal amendment action by this body, and 5 that are mere administrative adjustments. And you can see them mapped here. The 2 projects being added are both KDOT projects. And one moment, please. This is a video of those 2 formal amendment projects that was put together by our staff member, Danielle Ghana. It'll zoom in first on the project for installing fiber on US 54 from West Street to Armour Street through Wichita. And second on guardrail improvements to Interstate 235, Kansas Highway 254 across the North Junction. As I said, these are both KDOT projects, and the project to install fiber on US 54 is scheduled to have construction in 2022 with a cost of $1,370,000, entirely coming from the state of Kansas. And the guardrail project on I-235, also a KDOT project, is a 2021 construction with a cost of $1,279,307, entirely coming from the HSIP program. This has been through the public comment and review period. It has been confirmed as consistent with the MTP Reimagined Move at 2040 for all of the affected projects, both the formal amendment projects and the administrative adjustment projects. The TIP is still fiscally constrained following these amendments. In fact, there was no change at all to STP, CMAQ, or TA funds for any of the 7 projects here. And $3.3 million overall is added to the TIP as a result of this. And so now the possible actions for this body are to approve the amendment as is, or choose to not approve it, or choose to approve it with specific changes. And the recommended action on the part of WAMPO and the TAC is, as usual, to approve the amendment as it currently is.
Nick, thank you very much for that explanation. I appreciate it. Does anyone have any questions on the amendment forward to our KIP? Seeing none, I move that we take the appropriate action, approved action, and approve the amendment as proposed. Do I have a second? We have a motion and a second by Mayor Armstrong. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you all. Next item on the agenda is back to Chad for the BK audit contract. Thank you, Chad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the body. As you already know, the Audit Selection Committee's recommendation of the consulting firm bids we received. Today we have Michael Gerber and Teresa on the left here from BKD, and Kelly is also here to. She has reviewed the contract, and we are at the point to seek your approval for the necessary signatures. So Kelly will present an outline. Thank you, Kelly.
Hi, this contract is a proposal. It's went through the RFP process. BKD was selected to do the audits for the next 3 years. And the plan is that in December, they start doing some planning, and you will get your reports in March at the end of the following year. So December 21, they'll get started. In March 22, you get the answer. The audits are going to be done consistent with the standards for states, local governments, and nonprofit organizations. And the 3-year cost is $85,835. KDOT has also reviewed this contract. And at this point, the recommendation to you is that you also approve this contract. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions at all? I don't see any questions. We've been working on this for some time. We had a competitive bid on this. The staff recommends that we approve the consultant contract as proposed, so I make that motion. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Haysville is going to be focused on what's going on today. We got Will Black and Tony Martinez from Haysville that's going to brief us today, and we look forward to it. Mayor, do you want to introduce them?
Yeah. Okay. We're going to start off with a pop quiz. And I just included cities in Sedgwick County, and this is related to population. Who here knows where Haysville ranks in population within the cities in Sedgwick County? Third? Correct. I don't have a prize for you, but that was really quick. And yeah, I'm glad that somebody got it. Don't know how many people knew that Haysville was the 3rd largest in the county. I want to move on and show, we already did introductions. This is where we're at. If you don't know or haven't been to Haysville, we're at the south end of the, almost at the south end of the county, south of Wichita and west of Derby. We do have, I'll zoom this in a little bit, our major connecting roads that people use to get up to Wichita. We got Meridian over on the west, Main Street, which then turns into Seneca right down the middle of town, and then Broadway. Also, we've got a connection to the Turnpike, which really makes it a short drive to anywhere within the county. And you can get from Haysville to anywhere in about 15 minutes or maybe 20 if you drive slow. But I just looked up a few that may be of interest. The Sedgwick County Zoo and the Riverfront Stadium, 20 minutes from Haysville to those locations. And then Town East or Roxy's Downtown, 18 minutes. And if you work at Cessna out west, 15 minutes, or Spirit out east, 14 minutes. So you can really get from anywhere, from Haysville to anywhere in a pretty short amount of time. This one that's circled here is Country Lakes. It's one of our developments that's filling up rapidly. We don't have very many lots at this point in Country Lakes. There may be down to fewer than 20. And I've got a representation. This is one of the homes over in Country Lakes. I think this is one of the model homes. This one here is a development. It's Timber Creek Estates. This was a development that was originally done around 2008, and then it stalled out. So the city's land bank purchased 39 of the lots in the development, developed the infrastructure for those, and we're currently selling those. As of this morning, I think we've got 15 left there. And those homes, or those lots, we've got them marked way below market price. And then we have a reasonable specials. They're $95 a month. So quite a bit better than other specials I've seen in the area. And this is a home in Timber Creek. This development here is River Forest Second Edition. The western half of the development is developed with streets and water, sewer, electrical. The eastern half right now, the city's land bank owns, and we're looking at putting in an assisted living facility, and we're working with someone on that right now, which would allow residents of Haysville to continue to stay in Haysville once they reach that age where they like to move into assisted living so they can age in place. And there's a home that's in the River Forest Edition. I took this graphic from a very trusted source. I think you guys may have seen it recently. This shows the amount of residents that travel from Haysville elsewhere to work, the amount that travel in, and the number up top is those who both live and work in Haysville. I did get this from WAMPO. So I'm going to turn it over to Tony now. He's going to talk about a couple of projects we've got going on.
Good afternoon, Chairman and board members. Main Street reconstruction is a WAMPO project with the construction cost bid at $1.33 million. The project began in April of this year, is expected to be done by early September. Earlier would be great. As you can see in this picture, Main Street is home to many of the businesses in Haysville. The previous road had absolutely no rock base underneath it, and also during heavy rain events, it flooded. This reconstruction will address all those issues, as well as adding pathways on the west side of Main Street, and also a flashing crosswalk on the north side where our senior center is located. This street is one of the three main avenues to get into the city of Wichita for our residents. Next up, Sunset Fields. Sunset Fields Edition is located on the southeast corner of 63rd and Seneca. Is a residential area with gravel roads and ditches that do not handle rain events at all almost. It's extremely flat area. We are utilizing a community development block grant in the amount of $342,000 to supplement city funding of this project. The project bid came in at $1.5 million with construction slated to begin in the next 30 days. So if you compare the North Main project, 1.33, and then we have a residential project here at 1.55. And then also we evaluate all of our city streets yearly to choose projects based on ratings and deficiencies. We utilize traffic counts to assist decision-making and project selection. The city is fortunate to have a 1 cent sales tax. 50% of those funds go to street program. For 2022, that's budgeted just at about $550,000. The streets that we apply for WAMPO funding are for our main thoroughfares that connect Haysville with the rest of the WAMPO region. The local road projects are funded through, as I stated, the city sales tax, highway reserve, and capital improvements.
In addition to regular vehicular traffic going from Haysville to other places, we do have the Haysville Hustle transit system, and this is funded partially through a grant that we received working with the Wichita Transit, the 5310 funds. So we use this for residents to travel within town and also to connect to Wichita Transit at different locations, also to allow residents to make it to appointments and or shopping opportunities that are not in town. It's $2 each way, so it's pretty reasonable transit opportunity. Another thing we like to focus on in Haysville is our multi-use paths, sidewalks. This graphic here is from our bicycle pedestrian implementation plan that was done not too long ago. The orange lines on there are the basically the priority projects that were identified during that planning process. And at this point in time, the sidewalk on Meridian is done, includes a pedestrian bridge over the big ditch, which that was a county project that county used WAMPO funding, and then we helped supplement a portion of that project as well. So that was a big project that got done, allows residents to cross the big ditch on Meridian, allows kids to get to school at campus. If they don't have a other method of transportation, they can walk or ride a bike to school. Next project that was on there that we completed was a segment of sidewalk that goes to Haysville West Middle School, which is the newer middle school of the two middle schools in Haysville. And we were able to do that one using city funds. The next two projects that we're looking at doing, the one which is on Main Street, which turns into Seneca, and then east and west on 63rd. That's our next big one that we've actually applied through WAMPO for the CRRSAA funds. So if you want to help get us connected, connect residents there to the business district, and also connect to the ball fields, keep us in mind when you're discussing projects with the CRSSA funding. The next one we're looking at doing actually goes to the Timber Creek development. It's south on South Main Street. And that one we're looking at doing, we just got to get across a creek there. And we've been in contact with the county on their preferred method for us to do that. So hopefully we can get those done in the short order. And then the other two priority projects will be coming later. As far as some of the things you may not be aware that we have in Haysville, if you haven't been through in a few years, we're going to take the time to go over a few of those now. One is our new Haysville Activity Center, opened in June of 2017. It was $3.5 million or so by the time we got done. It's got a full 2 gyms, a full weight room, classrooms, rental rooms. So if you're looking for event space, we do have some there. This is the Activity Center complex, includes our swimming pool, a new playground, and volleyball, sand volleyball pits that we have expanded there as well. This is our Veterans Memorial. We completed the memorial in 2020, had the first Veterans Day ceremony there on November 11th this last year. So that's a great addition. It's right in our historic district, just north of our library, which is the next photo here. You'll see the library is it's a great place to, of course, check out a book, movies, other material, but we've got rental rooms there, and the library puts on quite a few programs for the youth in the area. This is the entry to Randall L. Dorner Park, which is the park that we've got that was named in memory of our late Public Works Director, Randall Dorner. This is the entry. The green and blue pipes, excuse me, they represent the years that Randy worked for the city of Haysville, and they're also trees that are not easy to see in here that represent his family. Within Dorner Park, we have our new soccer fields that the Haysville Activity Center, the Recreation Department, uses for our recreational soccer programs twice a year. We've got a dog park that has an area for large and small dogs. And we've got the Angel of Hope Memorial, which is the first Angel of Hope Memorial in the state of Kansas. And that's also in Dorner Park. And then our 10-acre lake there, which we've got sidewalks all around. We've also got a playground there. We've got a new shelter named after third mayor of Haysville, John Trout. But mayor, did I get that right? Is it the third mayor? Third mayor. And then also in this area, we're going to add in more sand volleyball pits and a pickleball court. Did I miss anything, Mayor, on this one? Did I miss anything? Oh, then I'm good. We also have WSU Hayesville in town. They've been there several years, and they offer a lot of courses that are relevant, and they also work with the high school to get students college credit. And we made it through. Do you have any questions?
Well, Will and Tony, thank you very much. Do we have any questions on what's going on down in Haysville? Well, first of all, thank you very much again for briefing this. I reiterate what I normally say each time, that these briefings are very important so that we know what's happening. A couple things I appreciate being a veteran, that you do have a Veterans Memorial down there. Thank you very much for that, and for thanking our veterans. I appreciate it. Dog parks are something that's becoming more and more popular in our communities. So I think it's great that you put that in. One other thing is ARC 95 is going to have an important impact on Haysville and some of the other communities down that direction. So we don't want to forget about ARC 95 as we move forward. let's see. Oh, finally, Campus High School is going to play Northwest on October 1st, Northwest homecoming. I announced for Northwest, so you all are welcome to come up and watch the game. I look forward to having everybody from Haysville come up to that game. So I want to personally invite you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we've got Park City up here. Sean Fox, City of Park City. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Let me get to this real quick. Will and Tony, I'm impressed. Third largest city? So what's fourth? I don't know, Mayor Benaj would probably, the official results have Park City as number 4, but I think Bel Air has passed us just within the past year or so. So anyway. Again, Commissioner Dennis, commissioners online, mayors, chairmen, council members. My name's Sean Fox. I'm the city administrator for Park City. And my presentation is more just a general overview of everything that's going on in Park City. Never give up that opportunity to talk about it because we're just going like gangbusters over the past couple of years. It's amazing to watch what's been going on. It is definitely more than you imagine. First of all, we got to talk about the humble beginnings. Park City, similar to Bel Air, is not a very old city. We're only 40 years old as of November 26th last year. It started off as an improvement district in 1953. It grew from a quarter section of farmland into a 3,300 acre community. And then again, on November 26th of 1980, the same day Bel Air, we became a third class city. As far as the facts, the current population estimates is 8,138 with an 8% growth over the last 10 years. The median household income is just over $63,000. The nice thing about that is when it's 28% above the adjusted cost of living. So not only is it a decent household income, but it's weighted properly. Median household value is 134,000. Average age is 35.3. And right now in the current layout, we have just under 10 square miles of land. To understand Park City, you have to understand a little bit of its past philosophy. The term scrappy or scrapper, that was kind of seen as a badge of honor over the years. By hook or crook, they wanted to get things done. Originally, part of the reason why they didn't want to be part of Wichita. They didn't want a lot of regulations. They wanted to be quicker, more agile, and more responsive to the people that they served. They promoted economic growth through extensive use of industrial revenue bonds. A little tidbit fact right now, if you look at the county, Wichita is the #1 issuer of industrial revenue bonds over the years, and they're currently sitting at about 86. Park City is at 24, more than most other cities combined. With the future growth, the council that we have right now, I am pleased to say they are very progressive and innovative looking towards the future. They definitely want to capitalize on the 7 miles of Interstate 135 that we have running right through the corridor. They want to implement improved design standards for the city and then supplement our industrial successes that we've had over the years with commercial, retail, and entertainment, as well as enhancing the quality of life. The 3 little graphics there, the Northern Junction or North Junction, it's a mile south of us. So we are virtually the gateway into Wichita. It brings a lot of possibilities and opportunities to Valley Center, Bel Air, as well as Park City. We have easy access in all directions. We're only 20 minutes away from the airport, 10 minutes from downtown. And again, we have 7 miles of access running right through the middle. The last graphic on the bottom right just kind of gives you a view of what our 5, 10, or 15-minute commute is. So when businesses come looking, we capture quite a bit of Wichita when you're within that 15-minute drive time. Business growth. Natural #1 picture on there has to be Amazon. As of this morning, 8:35, the certificate of occupancy was issued for it. So they will be opening up here within the next couple weeks. A year ago, this wasn't even a concept in Park City, Kansas. So it has gone rather quickly. It is a 1.25 square million facility with, on the conservative estimates, anywhere between 500 and 800 employees, with the capability of upsizing to 1,100 to 1,500 over the holiday season. Their parking lot alone has 1,100 car park spaces and 390 truck spaces. So that is massively huge. Then in the bottom left-hand corner is Crosswinds Casino. That casino, you'll see it on another slide here in a second for good reason. That opened up just on March 1st. The Wyandotte Nation of Oklahoma has 10 acres of land that the Federal Registry just put them in there for gaming purposes. In the bottom center is our new Quick Shop. That's in our Echo Hills Development Center. Their certificate of occupancy was issued a couple weeks ago, and they're expected to be opened up by the end of the month. And then the bottom right one, it does not look like that today, but it will in the near future. We have Pratt Industries, formerly known as Lovebox. They secured just about a year or so ago 80 acres of land, and they're building a 925,000 square foot facility that's going to employ between 250 and 300 employees. So a lot of good things. We're not just concerned about business growth, but also business retention. Harper Camperland, that's up at 85th and Interstate 135, they have already added on. They've only been there 2.5 years. Ditch Witch just recently from February to May put on an addition onto their building. There's Crosswinds Casino again. Again, we had them listed under business, but it's also business retention because they're in the middle of already adding 10,000 square foot onto their 20,000 square foot facility. And then finally, the picture at the bottom is 81 Speedway. 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, right at the start of COVID, not the best time to buy a racetrack, but they did. And they muddled through it and powered and endured through it. But they have expansion plans for 81 Speedway over the next 3 to 5 years that they're going to build a 3-story tall grandstand arena and make improvements to the raceway as well. We also have residential growth. It's kind of odd to believe. I didn't picture this until I started counting them up. We have actually 9 active neighborhoods that have building going on. Some of them are relatively new, as within the last 2 or 3 months, plat's been approved and groundbreakings are happening. Some of them are more older established neighborhoods that have been around for 20 years that just had 50 to 60 lots available that somebody's kind of dusted it off and said, we need to ramp this back up and get it going again. So as far as our quality of life, we're very proud of that, and we're working every day to improve that. We would like to enhance our existing parks that we have. We are Park City, and we have 9 parks total. We also, 2 years ago, implemented a connectivity plan, and that would be one of our major concerns as far as regional connections. I know with WAMPO, we had submitted a request a couple years ago just to get it across on everybody's radar, the fact that we would like to see a regional hike and bike trail connection that would encompass not only Sedgwick County, but Wichita, Bel Air, Valley Center, Park City, and Keachai. So council recently, over the last couple of years, in the downsize or downturn of the economy, we used to have home buying incentives and everything. We have pretty much suspended those for right now because it's hard to find a home that's for sale in Park City. But the one thing that I do applaud is they came back over the last couple of years and have started a couple new programs with home renovation programs, because that's what we really need right now. Is we have some older homes that need to have a little bit of love and care put to them. So as far as Echo Hills, it used to be a golf course right there at 53rd and Interstate 135. Over the past couple of years, we have hoped that that would have developed quicker, but it hasn't. There is currently the new Atwoods that's been there about a year and a half. Arby's has been there, and it's one of the best Arby's. It is the top producing Arby's in Sedgwick County. The Quick Shop, like I said, just will open up by the end of the month. What this affords us is that opportunity to somewhat break away from just the industrial-based businesses that we've had previously. We see it as an opportunity with great highway visibility and easy on and off the highway. And it's our opportunity to attract national and regional commercial retail. Infrastructure. I appreciate what you were talking about, Tony, as far as that. We are definitely going like gangbusters on that as well. When Amazon came, they did not ask for any incentives from the community, but one of the things that they did need in order to make the whole entire project work was a new sewer line. So within 8 months, we installed a $1.5 million sewer line all the way from 77th Street down to 61st Street. And that was completed 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time. The top center picture is a artist rendering of our WAMPO approved project that was just bid last month by KDOT. It is our 61st and Broadway intersection. It will be our second roundabout. It was proposed originally to be the first roundabout, but then once Amazon came along, KDOT offered us an Kansas Economic Development Grant, and the 77th and Broadway intersection took off quicker. I would like to say that is a shining example of working with regional partners. Sedgwick County supported us with that very much. We appreciate that. And it's a partnership between us and Valley Center. It's actually going all the way west beyond Seneca and making improvements for Valley Center. And then this is going to go east all the way to 77th, or to Hydraulic, excuse me. And that's the picture on the bottom left. The picture in the center at the bottom is 61st Street Bridge. That was a WAMPO approved project that was just completed last year. And then in the bottom right, it's not the best representation, but within the next couple months, we'll be building a new lift station at 53rd Street, about the half-mile mark in between Hydraulic and Hillside. And the reason why that's so important to us is all the way over to Hillside is Park City's urban area of influence. And by having this lift station there, that would promote economic growth as far as residential neighborhoods to the east all the way over to Hillside. And then if that wasn't enough, being a city that's only 40 years old, we don't have an established defined downtown district. So council took on an initiative a year and a half ago to develop our own downtown district. In the top center, you see a yellow outline. That is our city administration center just on the bottom side of it. Council purchased for the 48 acres just adjacent to it. And then over the past year, we have worked with Confluence, an urban landscape design company out of Kansas City, went through a public engagement process to come up with a downtown master plan. And the other pictures around there are just artist renderings of what it could be, not exactly what it will be, but what it could be. We anticipate issuing out a request for qualification, seeking development teams to partner with the city to make this become a reality. That RFQ should be issued by the end of the month, and we'll be hopefully selecting the development team by the end of the year. So we are definitely a work in progress. We're not 100%, we're not there yet, but we've got a lot of good things going on. Like I said, many of these projects more than a year ago were not even thought of or conceived, and now all of a sudden all three of them have come about. So pending that, I'll ask, are there any questions about Park City?
Sean, thank you very much for the briefing. Again, there are exciting things that are happening in this area, and we need to be the cheerleaders for this because we're constantly trying to find other people to come in, other businesses and so forth. So the more we know about the region, and we have to tout the entire region, the better that we can do as cheerleaders for this area. So thank you very much. Also, I know that I'm going out to Amazon on Friday, and a number of the commissioners are going out to tour it. Thank you very much for the invitation on that. I look forward to going out and seeing what's happening at Amazon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Let's see, next item is Executive Committee briefing, and this month there's kind of slow month, so we did not have an Executive Committee meeting this month. As things start picking up again, we'll go back to it, but we did not have one this month. So the next item on it is active transportation. Alan or Jack or Dr. Avila, any of those folks available? No, there.
Hi, I'm Alan Kaler, the co-chair of the Active Transportation Committee. Our next meeting is September 1 at 9:30 a.m. We're going to have presentations from the city of Rose Hill and from Haysville on their active transportation plans. One of the things that we've heard from all of the cities that we've heard from so far, like we just heard from Park City, is that they're very interested in increased connectivity between the cities. Which is something that WAMPO especially can focus on and be interested in. So not to preview the report that we'll end up with in a couple of years, but I would imagine that we'll be talking to the WAMPO, other WAMPO bodies about how to improve that connectivity. and to Sedgwick County as well. It will certainly have a part in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it. It was Dr. Abla on line. Does not appear so. Next, KDOT. I think they're all online. Is Tom Hine online?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. I want finishing, and for some reason I'm getting an echo. I don't know if you are. I'm sorry. I want to talk about finishing some projects. We have a couple at KDOT that are wrapping up very soon. Northbound I-135, the bridge repair project that's gone on for over a year, will finish soon. There is a punch list being created today, so we look for that. And I'm sure the thousands of drivers that I've heard from over the last year as this project has gone on will be glad to see this on Channel 7, I hope. And they won't call me here in these final weeks because I've had a lot of calls, and we look forward to that one being finished. K96 on the east side of town will soon be striped, and permanent pavement markings will be put on that, and that will finish up a project that's gone on both in the fall and the spring. So look forward to K96 being completely open. The Green Project, which is I-235 on the north end of town, will wrap up this November. That was a 3-year project and kind of the precursor to the North Junction fixes that we're seeing also active. The 235 project down at Southwest Street, which is a replacement of 2 railroad bridges, will wrap up in November as well. The Gold Project, Phase 2A, which is, you can see at the North Junction now, started this spring and will be a 3-year project, and we look forward to finishing that one in 2023. So still a ways off on that finish. And then, of course, just recently, the Gold Project Phase 2B, which would finish the North Junction project with construction all the way down to the east side of K96 along 135. That one has advanced from the development pipeline in the Ike program to the construction pipeline. So that one, we look to open bids on in 2022, and again, it'll be a multi-year project. So exciting that we're finally getting to some of the ending phases of some of these projects, but we've got plenty more on the horizon, and I'm sure that we're all looking forward to those inconveniences that eventually lead to better connectivity, especially at the North Junction. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate the update. Any questions for Tom on what's happening here locally? Seeing none, I'll turn it over to Mike Moriarty. Are you going to talk about the local consult today?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. So last week, the WAMPO team was kind enough to pass along a message from Transportation Secretary Julie Lorenz. Hopefully, many of you have seen this note from the Secretary where she was announcing the upcoming round of KDOT local consult meetings. For those of you that might not be familiar with local consult, every 2 years, KDOT hosts a series of statewide meetings where we go out and meet directly with the stakeholders and discuss regional transportation needs, among some other things. Our event in Wichita is scheduled for September 9th from 9:30 to 12:30 at the WSU Metroplex Complex at 29th and Oliver. There is a survey that we're asking folks to complete beforehand, and the link to this survey is in the message that WAMPO sent out last week. We are monitoring the pandemic, I should probably note, and the format for these meetings may be modified as conditions warrant. And there is a link in the Secretary's message where you can sign up for local consult emails. I would encourage everyone to do so. That way you can keep up with news about the events and any changes to the meeting format. I also wanted to announce a staffing change at KDOT that does affect WAMPO. So for several years, Renee Hart has been serving as the primary KDOT point of contact with WAMPO. Renee was recently promoted to State Public Transportation Manager. We're thrilled that she's moved into this new role and know she's going to do a great job. In the interim, though, I'd like to introduce Christy Wilson, who will be stepping in for Renee. Much like her, Christy is a very talented member of the KDOT team, and she'll do a great job keeping things rolling at WAMPO. And with that, Mr. Chair, I believe that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the partnership of the state of Kansas. Has anyone else
Sure.
from the state besides Mike want to speak today? Seeing no one, we'll turn it over to Rick Buckland with Federal Highway. I just heard that the Senate passed the infrastructure bill today, so you probably got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Well, yeah. Hello. Very good news. That was probably my keynote. So thank you. Yes, today the Senate passed a almost $1 trillion infrastructure bill. Included in that is $110 billion to repair and replace roads, bridges, highways. It's just a great bill. I mean, there's so much in there. Passenger freight rail. There's broadband included. So bottom line is, obviously that's a significant achievement. Now we head to the House after the recess and hope. One thing that's not been included in the news is we had been expecting two separate bills, an infrastructure bill and then a reauthorization bill. This package includes 5 years of reauthorization of formula funding. So there will not be separate legislation. So if this package gets, approved through the House and we get this bill into law, that would make our lives a lot easier come October 1st. We won't be facing continuing resolutions as we have with past pieces of legislation, laws that have expired. Then the previous one, we were about 1.5 years. So biggest piece of news, I don't have any personnel changes to report this time, as Mike was starting to allude with the Delta variant. We are able to travel, so that has been a change. So we're hopeful to start to get down to some meetings, but that's obviously now being cautioned because of all the Delta stuff. So stay tuned as we kind of get through all this. But what else to report? I think that's really all that I have for today. So any questions for me? And, regarding the Senate bill, I just have very rudimentary details. Hopefully in the September meeting, if things go according to plan, I'll be able to walk through more detail if we have a finalized bill that's signed into law. So.
Super, Rick. Thank you very much. I do have one question. I know there was a separate earmark bill that was working through the legislature, and we were looking at a couple projects here locally that I think Congressman Estes and Senator Moran were working. Do you know what the status of that earmark bill is? Because it's separate from this large bill that the Senate passed today.
Yes, that's my understanding. I know that there was a lot of dialogue that went on with constituents in Congress. My understanding is it's just up on the Hill, still being crafted. So I know there was heavy interest in earmarks, and I would say versus previous years where previous pieces of legislation where earmarks would just come in. One thing that I think was a good change was there was a screening requirement where for earmarks that were presented, they had to show how they were programmed in the statewide tip or plan. Are they financially constrained, financially reasonable? And that's a big change from what we've seen in the past when we had earmarks years back that they would just come in from any direction. And, it was quite a draw off the formula funding. So long-winded answer, no, I don't have an update, but I hopefully, once we get through the infrastructure bill, maybe we'll see some progress on the earmark bill. But again, we're not directly involved in that, but I do know that there was a lot of engagement, and it's pleasing to see that, again, that the work that you all do as MPOs and state planning departments is being recognized when earmarks are being identified and, before they move forward.
Very good. Thank you. I appreciate it. And again, I do appreciate the partnership with the federal and the state on all of these projects, because they're making a big difference in what's happening here in this region. So thank you.
Sure.
Do we have any questions for Rick that needs to be asked? I don't see anything. Does anyone have any other business in that needs to come before the WAMPO today? Seeing nothing, we're 6 minutes early today. Congratulations. We'll adjourn. Thank you.